Does everybody know that I used to work for a Ford dealership? Rick Warner Ford in Salt Lake City. They don't exist anymore. Okay, it used to be the biggest parts house west of the Mississippi. Bigger than anything in California, Colorado, Nevada, anywhere else. Had the biggest parts distributorship in the western United States. They would bring in semi-truckloads of parts every day. Okay, and then ship them back out to other places and use some of them at the dealerships there in town. Okay, so it was a pretty massive place. And it was a massive dealership. The place I worked there, they had a car place, a new car place, a used car place, a new car, a new truck facility, that all they did was service pickup trucks and vans, full-size vans, you know, Broncos, all. Passenger cars went somewhere else. So I worked mostly on trucks. And we had, God, I'm trying to think how many work bays we had. There were probably 35, 36 work bays, and all these technicians working. Massive, massive buildings. Attached to this, yeah, it was every technician had at least 2, and most of us had 3 stalls. We were working on 3 vehicles at a time. You know, it was massive. And in this parts house, does everybody know what a loading dock is?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's a loading dock?
Where the truck actions load.
And this one has the big bumper right here, so the trucks back down into it, the trailers match up to that dude, right? And it's down in this little loading dock area. What's down the bottom of it? Keep the water from collecting. Yeah, there's a big grate, right? Big hole down here. That's all the water drained into the sewer system, right? Well, they used to take all their parts vehicles, parts trucks, that they delivered parts, and they would park them down in here. Okay? There were 3 of them across. I'm just going to draw one of them. Okay? So there were actually 3 of these trucks down in here. Okay? Now you that's about how that would be right there, right? Pretty good proportions. That's what they would look like. They parked them all in, they've been doing this for years. Parked them down in this spot. And we went home on Friday. Actually, they're open on Saturdays, but they did deliver parts on Saturday. Came back Monday morning. Over the weekend, they had one of the heaviest rainfalls recorded in the Utah Salt Lake Valley. Okay? And guess what happened? This little grate down here got plugged up with papers and leaves. So when we came to work on Monday morning, what did we find?
The truck.
True story. True story. It had a bathtub ring halfway up the window. Okay? Now, what do?
You drive it out.
Now think about this for just a minute.
There's already water in there.
Is there water where?
In the exhaust.
There's water everywhere, right? Gas tanks full of water. Everything is full of water.
Throw it out.
That's what they did. That's what they did. They got one of their parts running people to guide down in here with the chain, and he hooked onto the back bumper, and they used another vehicle, and they towed them all out of here. Okay? Now this is the best part.
Trucks down there?
There were 3 of them.
Wow.
Side by side. Right?
Oh.
There were 3 of them down in there.
Oh my God.
Now think about this for a minute. If there's water everywhere, is there water in the engine?
Yeah.
Is there water, you know, you have the air cleaner up here, right? You have the air cleaner up here. Water just ran right in that air cleaner and right down inside the engine. So every valve that was open had water on top of the piston, right? What do you think could happen if you tried to start one?
Screwed.
That did happen. This same kid jumped in one of these and says, hey, I'm going to see if it'll start. And he tried to crank it. Okay? Water on top of the piston does not compress. It destroyed one of the engines. Okay, that's not something you want
Good
to
thing
do.
you're a surgeon.
What a smart guy.
Okay, yeah, you wonder what the heck was he thinking on that one? But there was in fact, there was water in all. Guess who got to fix those?
You?
I didn't replace the engine. Okay, they gave that to one of the heavy duty engine guys. But I got to clean all the other ones up, and that means, and even on this one, the one that had the bad engine, I had to drop the fuel tanks out and take the sending units out and get all the water out.
Oh,
Was there any oil in the engine? Yeah, oil tends to float on top of the water, but these hadn't been in there long enough for that to run out of the engine and float up here. So it was kind of cool because I picked it up in the lift and I had several 5-gallon buckets down there, and I pulled the drain plug out of the engine, but it would have been full of water. Think about that. No oil had been floating on top. And I let it out about 4 gallons of water, and then the oil started to come out, and I put the bucket over and caught the oil coming out on top of that. Flushed out all the fuel lines, had to disconnect all those, changed all the filters, did all that. And we actually got them all running again. That's
How
a
long did it
miracle of
take?
it.
What about the
Oh,
interior?
it took me a day just to do one truck, 8
Yeah, what about
hours.
the interior?
And that's all I did. Oh, you had a little
Sorry.
bathtub ring in there, but you think up under the dash and all the electronics and the radio and all that stuff, actually it all worked afterwards. After we let it all dry out, we put some fans on the door, open the doors, disconnect the battery, open the doors, put a fan there, let it dry it out all day long. So
Who was
it worked.
the lucky kid that got unclogged the drain?
Yeah, think about that.
Maybe that's
Well, they knew where the drain was, so they used a big pole and stuck it, they stood up here and got down and got it to drain.
Cool.
Obviously, after that experience, they didn't ever park their trucks down in there again, because they didn't want that to happen again.
How was this
But
bucket?
the thought that somebody would try to start that, didn't understand,
But he worked at the service.
Well, he worked in the parts
Oh,
department.
so he didn't know.
He was one of those parts guys, he had no idea. All he does is
If
drive
he works
cars.
on cars and
Has no clue.
I'd never trust that guy.
Funny though, the mechanic, we were all laughing so stinking hard over there. Parts manager had no sense of humor whatsoever. That was funny at all. Ooh, we gotta get our other paperwork now.
Another story.
I'm gonna write a book someday about all these experiences.
You really should. I would totally.
You sure like that comment.
It's gonna be called The Joy of Auto Mechanics. Yeah, have a title.
Here, catch this.
There's a book called The Joy of Cooking.
There's no joy.
I don't want, yeah, we
No,
got.
joy.
Does that make any sense to you?
And joy of cooking, the joy of auto mechanics.
Cooking. I'll get the cookies.
Oh,
Story and
Fun-
You can write a joy
funny
on
story.
eating book.
You got me going, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you should. That was awesome.
We'll tell you some more, another day.
How about we quit
Who's
early?
not here? Let's raise your hand.
How about we quit early? Because,
It brings us closer together as a class. It's
Whatever.
like class bonding.
How come we're missing so many people today? Just cause?
The deer hunt's gonna be over soon.
I hope so.
Sunday, you want to just take it.
where's Play Day?
I don't know. Well, the ones that I saw.
Okay. Got our heroin people here today, that's a good sign.
Hey, where's Justin and
You gotta stay awake.
Nando.
They're just 2 days, so.